Went to church one day. He caught a glimpse of that hope, and he loved the looks of it. He was back there the next Sunday, and the next, and the next, and the next. He always got there late. He always left early. Did not want any attention. On about the 6th or the 7th Sunday, the message was so moving, so powerful, so encouraging, that he forgot all about the time. He did not even notice that there were people who had come in and sat down behind him. Suddenly, the message appeared to him as if there were an overhead looking right at him, and it said, "For you, little Ben Hooper of unknown heritage, there is hope in the future." He got so carried away with it, he forgot about everything, and suddenly the message was over. He stood up expecting to run out again as he had in weeks gone past, but this time the aisles were clogged, he couldn't get through. As he was trying, he felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned, he looked around, he looked up. He was looking right into the eyes of the young pastor who asked him a question which had been on the minds of everybody there for the last 12 years. "Whose boy are you?" Instantly the church grew deathly quiet. You could have heard that proverbial pin drop. Then slowly a smile started to come across the face of the young minister, till he broke into a huge grin. And then he said, "Oh, I know whose boy you are. Why, the family resemblance? Son, unmistakable. You are a child of God." And with that, he swatted him across the rear and said, "That's quite an inheritance you got there, boy. Now go and see to it that you live up to it." Many, many years later, little Ben Hooper said that was the day he was elected governor of the state of Tennessee and later re-elected. To be candid, I lost my earthly father when I was 5 years old. I met my heavenly Father when I was 45 years old. I don't remember my earthly father. I can never forget my heavenly Father. When I became a child of the King, that's when everything changed. When I started looking at biblical truths about success. Now, I check them out psychologically and theologically because a lot of people want to have all the bases touched. And so I've been able to secure tremendous endorsements from all three of those disciplines. And I only mention that to say, you see, at age 45, I was stone broken in debt. Had been working hard all of my life. Have always been optimistic. I'm the kind of guy that put a dime in the parking meter while my wife goes shopping. I mean, that's my basic nature. I'd go after Moby Dick in a rowboat and take the tartar sauce with me. Nothing really happened. Nothing really happened until I looked at just who I was. That's the reason I keep saying, you see, you got to be before you can do. You got to do before you can have. Maybe my favorite expression is the fact that failure is an event. It's not a person. Yesterday really did end last night. Today is a brand new day, and the day is yours. Now, the question is, suppose, as you go down this list, how many of you, and you in the car listen to this in recording, how many of you put down most of those as being attitudes? Can I see your hands, please? All right. Is there anybody here who put down that most of them were skills? Unless you work for the Zig Ziglar Corporation. I see some of those hands. Well, the reality, ladies and gentlemen, is the best news I can possibly give you is that they are all skills. Now, let me tell you why that's so critically important. You see, it means they can be taught. If they can be taught, that means you can learn them. Now, let me ask you a question, if that's important. If our kids were taught those in our schools, how many of you believe that we would, in fact, have a reduction in drug usage, violence, teenage pregnancy, and all of those things. How many of you believe that would happen? Now, there's one exception, and we know we cannot teach faith in our schools anymore. We did the first 200 years, just can't do it anymore. Now, let me tell you, what do you mean you did it the first 200 years? You ever seen a New England primer used for 200 years in America? You know how they taught the alphabet? A and a Bible verse. B and a Bible verse. C and a Bible verse. That's the way they taught it. Absolutely. Ever pick up one of McGuffey's readers? You know what they were talking about? You got it. But we can't use that anymore. Matter of fact, you'll get in less trouble taking God's name in vain than in taking it in praise. Tragic, but that happens to be the way it is. But let me ask you a question. If all of these other qualities were taught, would we have better students? Would we be able to cut all those things down? Can I see your hand in the live audience if you believe that's true? Well, I can tell you emphatically we know it will, because our company has a course called I Can that teaches how to develop the qualities there. And yes, drug use does come down. Yes, teenage pregnancy does come down. Yes, grades do go up. Yes, attendance is better, because these are qualities that really will make a difference. Now, let me ask all of you in the live audience, and as you listen to this on recording, how many of you would love to have a mate with all of those qualities? Can I see your hand? How many of you wish all your kids had all of these qualities? Can I see your hand? How many of you wish your boss had all of those qualities? How about your employers? Would you wish your employees had all of those qualities? All right. How many of you wish that all of the teachers had those qualities? And all of the politicians had all of those qualities. How about your doctor and your lawyer had all of those qualities? Would we have a better world in which we can operate? How many of you believe it would definitely be better? All right. Well, we're making some progress. Now, let me ask you a question. How many of you, when you were in school, had a course which taught you how to develop all of these qualities? Got about 300 people. Would you hold your hand real high, please, if you had a course? I see one over, I see two, I see three. Do we have four? Do we have any other? Now, was it a course, or did you get lucky and have a teacher that taught it? Which was it? Teacher? Course, all right. Did anybody else have a course? Got one that had a course. A course, okay. Two that had a course, the others had teachers. Now, let me ask you a question. How many of you believe that we're missing the boat in education? Can I see your hand? Boy, isn't that a relief? All of this time you thought in your life that it was your fault, that you haven't done more with your life. And now we have identified what the culprit is. It's those educated. Boy, I can't wait until tomorrow. I'm going to get on the telephone. I'm going to call them and I'm going to tell them a thing or two. You bet I am. They ought to be teaching some stuff like this. Now, before you get too exercised about it, let me ask you some questions. Since we're in Texas, how many hours a day do the kids go to school in Texas? Anybody know? 6, okay. I thought I heard 7 from somebody else. Let's take the optimum. Let's say they go to school 7 hours a day. And how many days a year do they go to school? 180, okay. Now, that means they're in school 1,260 hours a year. Roughly 65% of that time they're in class learning things. Now, how many hours are there in a year in Texas? Okay. Very good. Same as in Yazoo City, Mississippi, okay? Now, that is 8,760 hours. So, the kids actually are in school 1,260 hours a year. They're at home 7,500 hours a year, and mom and dad had the kids 40,000 hours before the teacher ever saw them. Now, with that in mind, how many of you think mom and dad should assume some of the responsibility for teaching these qualities and values? Can I see your hands, please? All right. How many of you believe that it would be ideal if mom and dad taught these qualities The teachers reinforced them, and then the business community implemented them. Can I see your hands, please? Are you beginning to understand now why I talk about your personal life, your family life, and your business life all together? They go together, don't they? Okay? Now, another question. How many of you believe that it would be helpful if the parents and the teacher and the business community acquired some of those qualities before they started teaching them? Can I see your hands, please? All right. What do you call a person that practices one thing and preaches another? Hypocrite. As you well know, a hypocrite is simply a fellow who gripes and complains about the sex, nudity, and violence on his VCR. Or a hypocrite is simply a fellow who's not himself on Sunday. I get so amused that, every once in a while somebody says, I don't go to church, nothing but a bunch of hypocrites down there. I always say, friend, don't let that stop you. Come on down. We got room for one more. Not only that, but if a hypocrite stands between you and God, that just means a hypocrite's a little closer to God than you are. Well, anyhow, when you put these together, and when you look at them, if they were taught at home, reinforced in school, and implemented in the business community, then we really would have a going Jesse, as we would say at home. Now, understand this. How many of you believe that if these were taught, it would be helpful in getting a job anywhere, at any time, under any circumstances, improving our employment security? Would it help a person to be a better doctor, a better lawyer, a better mechanic, a better teacher, a better anything? How many of you in the live audience believe that would be true? All right, now, please understand that even if they had every one of these skills right there, and I'll tell you a little more about that in just a moment, but suppose a doctor had every one of these skills there, how many of you would still want him to go to medical school and learn something about medicine? Can I see your hand? All right. Now, if your mechanic had every